Dua. Hotel, we ask for permission from our ancestors to speak today.
Ashe.
We must invoke your consent to even open our mouths. We are cries from the womb. We come to you with a divine feminine cosmology. Yeah, Mother Earth, Mother Nature.
The queen bee, the great cosmic mother, as above, so below.
Come on.
We understand and relate to the black woman.
My eye.
For she is the key to our survival.
Come on.
Don't y'all get it? I guess not.
That feminine energy, the first ancient cosmology of the world before it was corrupted. That divine, feminine, primordial concept of the womb.
Come on.
Dua, creator, divine force, supreme energy, and great power. Lead us on this journey called life. Looking forward to the Duat.
Ancestors, be with us at this moment.
Sekhmet.
Guide and protect us, for we are your offspring. We will never forget your sacrifices
Natural.
and continue influencing
Divine principles.
and energy in our lives.
Hotel.
Ashe.
The primeval waters of noon.
Hotep, everyone. Uncle Jocelyn. Welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jahi, and tonight we have a lot of important information to get to. But before we get to that information, let me give you a couple of quick updates that you have to hear. And then after I give you the updates, I'll bring on my co-host Chaz, correspondent, who goes out in the field, kind of giving out information and searching and seeking and giving us insight. But before I bring him on, let me tell you something about what's going to happen this Saturday. This Saturday, September the 2nd at 1 o'clock on the Ja and Kev show, we're going to be doing a broadcast on defenselessness. In other words, as a people, why are we sitting ducks? Why is everyone picking on us? Why is everyone killing us, beating us, miseducating us? Why are they doing those things to us? Well, tune in this Saturday on the Ja and Kev show. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And then secondly, next month, October the 7th, at 637 South W.W. White Road at 1 o'clock, we're going to be at Global Fitness. That's Ja and Kev. We're going to be at Global Fitness doing a live remote on the importance of staying in shape, the importance of taking care of ourselves. And so having said that, I'll introduce my subject matter tonight, and then I'll bring on my correspondent, Chaz. Tonight's subject is about aging. Why are we so afraid of aging, brothers and sisters? Why do we act the way we act when it comes to getting old? Why are we so afraid? Many of us are terrified when it comes to aging. But brothers and sisters, tonight, we're going to share with you, you have nothing to worry about. This is something that happens in life. So having said that, I'm going to bring on my correspondent, Chaz, so we can get into this serious discussion tonight.
Hello, everybody. I appreciate you, big brother, for having me back on again.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there, but let's talk about the subject because we don't want to waste any seconds. Because to be honest with you, Chaz, I'm going to start off by basically quoting a fact, and then you can take over and we'll continue the dialogue. But here's the fact when it comes to aging. Many of us, we act like little babies when it comes to aging. We act like little kids. Everyone would love to stay young, but we can't. The reality is we can't, and we shouldn't want to. So what do we think about aging? That's what we're going to be talking about. What is our philosophy when it comes to getting older? This day on Adults Only, we will be looking at a lot of facts concerning getting older. And then we're going to look at some crazy things that we do, brother. Some of the craziest things that we do to avoid the appearance of getting older. And so we're going to be dealing with so many issues. But right off the bat, I want to put a fact up and I want you to fire away at it. And here's the first fact we're going to talk about. Fact one, you can deny it or not, but this is true. Many older people don't want to accept the realization of getting old. Tell me, why is that?
Real quick, big brother. If you see me looking down a lot, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So I just want to get that out there. But number one, like you said, the reason why a lot of us don't want to accept that we're aging is because we've been taught by the media that black don't crack. Let's just stop that, okay? Everybody gets old. People have different genes. And my thing is, if there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself, but when you go to the extent of certain things that I'm going to get into, such as stress, sugar, Stress is the main thing that causes aging quickly.
Okay. So, it's important that we talk about this fact because we don't want to accept the fact. It's like we're insane. We're afraid to get older, and we're going to talk about why people think this way, because I think the media has a lot to do with it. Everybody's wanting to be young. Everybody's dyeing their hair. We're going to talk about that. Everyone's wearing wigs. We're doing all kinds of things, and these celebrities are doing all these things to tell us that getting old is a problem, and it's really not. It's a natural way of life. It's a natural fact. And so fact two, we can look at this. Some of us are scared out of our minds when we even just think about aging. Now, we're scared for a lot of reasons, but what are some things that you found out in your research that will help us if we just take heed to what we're doing to continue to make ourselves get older than we really actually are?
For number one, like I just told you, stress is the main thing. Sugar is the main thing. And number three is try to get away from the media. I've tried to teach myself a new way of thinking where whatever I see on TV, most of it, I try to go to the other direction because most of it is poison. So for a lot of us who are afraid of aging, don't be afraid of it. Here's the thing. We were born to get old. There is no way possible that we can live forever and ever and become immortal and just look like we're 29 years old at the age of 70. And let me say this. I don't know if y'all are standing up or if you're sitting down.
Okay.
But another reason why a lot of famous people or just people in general are doing this, how they're getting young. Are you ready for this, big brother?
I'm ready.
It's called adrenochrome. Okay. This is the main reason why a lot of our young kids all over the globe, they're becoming missing. Now, this may sound weird or creepy to people, but I have to put this out there.
Okay.
They are drinking our young kids' blood. I said what I just said. They're drinking their blood to keep this smooth skin, and then you wonder why Barack Obama and some of these other leaders look so young at their age. That's because this is what they're doing to stay young. Wow. So you mean to tell me that you were so sick that you're willing to drink blood to stay young? I mean, it's insane. It's insane.
That is really creepy and scary. Well, Chaz, look at this fact. Fact 3. Many of us don't even like to discuss aging. We talk about everything under the sun. We talk about politics. We talk about religion. We talk about sports. We talk about other people's business. But we don't sit down and talk intelligently about the fact that aging is a beautiful thing. Why don't the older people that why haven't they sat you down and just said, brother, getting old is a beautiful thing. I know we're complaining about it, but instead of complaining about it, when will we hear the discussions that it's a beautiful thing?
I think on discussions like this, if a lot of people starting to tune in and see what we're talking about, I think they'll look at aging as a good thing, because the average person you see that's walking down the street, they fear aging. They think that's something negative. So I think if we can not brainwash them, but if we can try to reprogram their mind to say, there's nothing wrong with aging. You're going to get older, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just that simple. I don't care, like you said, how many times you go to Sally's Beauty Supply. I don't care how many times you go to Dillard's. And here's the thing. The makeup company, they're cleaning up on this.
Yes,
they know women and men are going in there putting on all this makeup just to stay young. It's ridiculous.
Well, Chaz, this is going to blow the roof off this thing, because I really wanted to say this later on, but here's a fact, and let's talk about this fact. As I see numbers are dropping because people don't want to hear it. You definitely prophesied that. But watch this. This is going to really tell the story. Here it is right here. Fact number 4. Many of us, a lot of us fear aging because we know that our time is limited. See, we've been playing all these years, and we know that when we get older, we begin to think differently. And so we know that time is winding up. Yeah. And so that puts us right into reality with the humanity of mankind, meaning that we know sooner or later that our best years are long gone. And so we're afraid to face the inevitable, and that's problematic because we are too old as a people to be afraid of the inevitable, and that is death. We're so afraid of it. We sing at church. We sing at the mosque. We talk about it in spirituality. But yet, when it really comes down to it, we don't like to face the fact that we're every day we wake up, we're scared.
Yeah.
We know that time is winding up. Why do we think like that?
I gotta put this out there. I think this boils down to a mindset. I think if we had the option, a lot of us want to live on this earth forever.
Okay,
That's really what I've come up with. We want to be immortal. We want to stick around if we could to be 600 years old. There's, as you get older, you've seen everything, but I think it just goes to a mindset of most people, if they could, they want to stay on this earth for immortality.
And you see how hypocritical we are? Because like I said, in churches, everyone sings about going to see their maker. Everyone knows that you're going to leave this earth. They quote these verses. Right. And in the Quran, a lot of people quote verses about how Allah supposedly looks upon aging as a beautiful thing. And in spirituality, we talk about the Nechiru and how death is something that we look forward to. But in reality, Chaz, let's be honest. We're scared, man. We're scared. We're terrified of death. That's why the discussion is not there, which leads me to say what you just said, which is the next fact. Here it is. Fact 5. Many of us are terrified of getting older because you said it. We don't want to leave. Well, we got news for y'all today. You're going to leave this earth.
You, my friend, when I say you, I'm talking about people in general. This goes hand in hand. So my other point is called transhumanism. If any listeners are listening to this program and they're consumed with the earth and they want to live forever, I'm afraid that you could be hooked into this program. Now, transhumanism is easy to find. It's basically where these scientists and rich people, they want to live forever. So they give you all these biometrics and these supplements and all these things, and it's basically to live forever. And if you're a Christian believer or if you believe in the Bible, that is a no-no. You don't want to get tied in that. So my thing is, you're going to leave this earth. Do not be. Here's my thing, big brother. What is it about earth that we don't want to let go of?
Well, okay, Chaz, you asked a good question. I have to answer it. I really didn't want to answer this soon, but I'm going to answer it now. Many of us don't want to leave this earth because we are afraid that whatever's going to happen to us is not going to be good because of the wretched lifestyle that we live on this earth. So we don't want to leave this earth. And a lot of us want to see our children and our grandchildren get older and older. All that is headaches and heartaches. And I can get that. But a lot of us don't want to leave this earth because we have grown to love it. You see, we've gotten attached to it, and we act so silly, as we're going to see later on, about some of the shenanigans that we do to appear to be young, as opposed to looking at it, getting old is a blessing, they say. But yet we're afraid of this, Chaz, and this is why people don't talk about it as much as we want them to. And I want to show you an image because you asked me to put an image up, and I'm going to put the image up now. Explain to us, why did you ask me to put this image up?
Sidestep. This is a guy named Jimmy Butler. He played against my Boston Celtics in the bubble, and there was a reporter that asked him, Jimmy, why do you look like that? Now, you could clearly see on this picture that he's aging. You know what he told that reporter?
What did he tell him?
He said, the difference between me and you is I don't care. I don't care about this. Now, that's a little extreme, but the point is, he didn't shave. His hair is all over the place, not shaving his mustache. Mm-hmm. I identify with guys like that because he told the reporter, and I'm saying this in a paraphrase here, all he wants to do is play basketball, see his kid, his appearance. He said he didn't care. Now, you want to exercise, but the point is, this man does not care about appearance because he knows at the end of the day, he's going to leave this earth, and let's not be so obsessed with our image. And I think that was spot on what Jimmy Butler told that reporter.
Yeah, and I think it is too, because to be honest with you, we act too silly when it comes to aging. Someone just corrected me. I said on October the 2nd, but I meant on September the 2nd. That's when Kev and I will be doing our next broadcast, which is this Saturday. So I appreciate that correction. But let's continue to go with some of these facts, because we're going to give some positivity when it comes to getting older. Stop being afraid. Quit playing games, because that's a beautiful thing. Fact number 6, Chaz. Some of us don't want to get old because we fear being lonely. When you get old, wow. you see, we hitting this thing tonight. And people a lot of us don't want to get old because we fear, when I get old, all of my siblings might be gone. All of my relatives might be gone, and the ones that are around ain't going to care about me. So we're afraid. We're afraid. We're lonely.
Here's the thing I could try to say to counteract that. If there are some people listening to this who are lonely, try to get yourself in some programs. And I know this sounds cliche. Go to bingo. Go to some after-school activities with your grandchildren. There's things to avoid loneliness, but this can start to create a bigger problem. Is when people get lonely, what do? They turn to drugs. They turn to alcohol. They turn to pills. So my whole thing is, this is something that I can't beat this. Nobody can beat this. I don't care how much I exercise, as much as I love it, I'm going to get old.
Yes.
So we have to let this concept go that we can beat Father Time.
And see, people don't realize the reality, and that is this. Some of us don't want to get old because we know that our grown children and our family gonna leave us out to dry. They're gonna put us in a facility. Whether you call it rehabilitation, whether you call it a nursing home, they're not going to take care of us. And we see that day where we're going to be sitting up, looking out a window, hoping that someone comes to see us. And this is a shame. This is a disgrace. But this has played on the minds of us, brother. And this is why a lot of people don't want to get old. Now, they're not going to admit it, but they think about it. They go to sleep at night thinking, who's going to take care of me? Instead of worrying about, don't worry about that. Let it be. If not a soul come, but because they know their children are no good, brother. They know their relatives are not going to do anything for them. So they hate getting old. They can't stomach the idea of getting old. And this is why many of us do this, So I want to bring up some stuff too now, Chaz. I want to bring up this before I bring up something else. Now let's look at some of the crazy things we do to avoid the appearance of getting old. And then what we're going to talk about is we're going to give you all encouragement about how being old is a beautiful thing. So we're not going to just leave you hanging. We're showing you now that we got to stop this mess, talking about how we want to leave this earth. But yet when you really get time to leave the earth, we really don't want to leave the earth. But look at some of the crazy things we do. Ready? Let's take them one at a time. The first thing is many of us dye our hair. Now, come on, Chaz, let's talk. Let's talk, man. A lot of people, especially women, because the men, we do other things too, but we dye our hair and we want to appear to be young. Go ahead.
I was always told, and I see you got a little bit of it at the top, which is a good thing, that gray hair is supposed to show a sign of wisdom. Now, a lot of people, as soon as they see a speck of it, they run to Sally's Beauty Supply and they asking the clerk behind the counter, let me get some of that black dye. Yeah, that's not normal. What's wrong with us?
No, I'm telling you, something's wrong with us because we can't see. We don't like to face reality. See, we don't want to be who we are, and that's problematic right there. So we dye our hair, and these companies. Do you know these companies that we're giving our money to? A lot of these companies are killing our sisters, putting all this dye in their hair, 80 years old and trying to look like we 15 or 20. In fact, that brings me to a video I want to show because this is serious to the sisters that's out there with this messing around with this dye all the time. It's a dangerous thing when we do that. Now watch this.
New research raises concerns about the safety of permanent hair dyes and chemical hair straighteners, especially among African American women. In a study published in the International Journal of Cancer, scientists found an increased chance of breast cancer among women who regularly used permanent hair dye, particularly African Americans. Black women who used dye at least every 2 months had a 60% higher breast cancer risk, while white women had an 8% higher risk. Straightener use was linked to an 18% increase in risk. The study was conducted by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences and looked at hair product use over a 12-month period in more than 46,000 women ages 35 to 74, all of whom have a sister diagnosed with breast cancer. None of the women had breast cancer at the beginning of the study. There's been much debate on this study since it was released late last year, so we've included several online links to help you sort through the information. You'll find the links on hair dye dangers when you click the News of Note tab on our homepage at yourhometownhealth.com.
You see, Chaz, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. And I want to read a comment. So a brother made a comment, and I want to respond to it because I know he made it in fairness and honesty. But let's read this about the comment about our children taking care of us, and we're afraid of that. He says, "You don't know if they will facilitate you or not. I have trust issues." He says, "I don't never want to depend upon someone to take care of me." He says, "I was so glad when my childhood was over to be responsible for myself." Well, I'm trying to tell him everybody's not like that.
Right.
Everybody's not like me. Everybody's not like you. Everybody's not like him. I'm saying that a whole lot of us are afraid to get old because we know that we're going to be abandoned. And we know this. So we can say all we want to say personally about what we think. But the reality is, if you don't believe me, go to the nursing home right now and you ask them the question that we're talking about now. And that's going to show that we're telling the truth, that a lot of people are afraid because they know that no one's going to help them. What about those who can afford facelifts? Here we go. People want to stay young because they want to get their face shot up. They want to look young again. I mean, we can't afford it. We can't afford it, but we do anything to try to stay young. Isn't that sad how you putting stuff in your face when yet reality you're still going to die though?
But see, here's the thing with the video you just showed, or even the people who shoot the stuff up in their face. There's so much chemicals and stuff in this. To me, the risk is higher than the reward. I'm willing to bet you most of the people who do this, they end up getting something. In fact, there was a sister I used to go to school with. Her name was Mariah. She went to school. She wanted to dye her hair a different color. She had an allergic reaction to that stuff. So, and let me ask you this too, big brother. Do you see the common denominator here? The sisters, and I'm not knocking them, that dye their hair yellow, orange, pink, or brown. Who do you think that these hair dye companies are targeting? They know us Africans are going to do that. Don't you think that this is strategically planned
for them
to put the stuff in there?
I believe that with all my heart. But because we're so afraid of death and getting older, we do these things. You see, these are the discussions that a lot of us don't want to have, Chaz. They come on this broadcast, they see what we're talking about, and they jump off because they're afraid to face the music. What about this one? Clubbing, going to the club. 70 and 80 and 90 years old, still clubbing, trying to be young.
Now, I'm not in the 70, 80, or 90 age, but I'm at that age to where I wouldn't go to the club, but I would go to like certain venues and stuff like that with a lot of the young kids. But there does come a time where we have to cut that off.
Sit your butt down. You know, when people get older, you would think that they've gotten that out their system. But Chaz, if you go to some of the clubs now, you see a lot of older people, and it's not because they want to really get down with the music and all that. They don't want to face reality. You're getting older, man.
And I saw that, and brother, I've seen this myself at certain venues. There were OG, well, they're not gangsters, but this is just a term that we use. There were OGs in a club sitting on the wall. You could look at them with their backs against the wall. These dudes look like they were almost 65 years old with their hat twisted, trying to sit up there with these young cats. It's ridiculous.
They're afraid of aging. And see, we don't want to have this discussion. And I want to keep saying that because many of us are afraid of aging. And this is why we do the body cosmetics, getting our butts shot up, you know, get our stomachs tucked, because we don't want to face the fact that we are getting older. Now, when we gave the broadcast about doing exercise, no one wants to do that.
Right.
You want to go and let somebody stick a needle in us so we can appear to be younger, when the bottom line is you're getting, and I'm getting older. And I don't know why people are afraid of their gray hair. I don't know why they're afraid of their muscles sagging. I don't know why they're afraid of just getting, being weak as they get older. We got to stop this. Wearing wigs, Chaz. What about that one? People wearing wigs.
Now, and I have to be clear, because there's some people who act like they don't hear what we're talking about. If there's an older woman or older man who's had cancer, their hair is falling out, if you want to go and get a wig, okay, go do that. I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
I'm talking to the people whose hair, there's nothing wrong with their hair. They just saw J-Lo or Gabrielle Union wear a wig, so they went out and got a wig. Those are the crowds that I'm talking about.
Okay,
not the people who are literally sick. Because I've heard you get pushback before, and they say, well, my daughter had cancer, or her hair. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the other Negro, man.
Right. And then guys with us, because we can't let the brothers off the hook. We want to go get a toupee. We want to go get a toupee and stick that joint right here, and people think it's funny, and it is, but because we don't want to get old, man, or we see a bald spot, and so we want to wear caps all the time, so we don't want people to see, or if it's gray, like you said, when somebody said, man, you're getting gray, instead of saying, that's what's going to happen. That's called normal lifestyle. We age, but a lot of us are afraid, so we go get toupees and stick them on our head like a rug or something.
My thing is, let me say this too real quick on a positive note. We, as we get older, we should have learned something in life to where we could share to the young man or young woman. It's up to them to take that information. But I think a lot of us, as we get older, I think most of us, we get more ignorant. Yeah, we should be at a point where, not that we should be screaming this out to everybody that we see, but at some breath, we should have some kind of knowledge or wisdom, but we love to get older and just act more and more crazier, I would say.
And that's why I'm going to say later on in the broadcast, I don't believe that. I believe theoretically we should get wiser, but I believe in reality we get dumber and we get unwise because of the things we do. So in theory we should. But life hasn't taught us those lessons. This is why we do what we do. Trying to dress young is another one. 75 years old, and he wants to show his chest hair. Nobody wants to see that, man. Nobody wants to see that, man. Or these young older ladies wearing hoochie coochie stuff. Yes. I mean, you were young when we were younger. Okay, we did our thing. But there comes a time where you have to put it down. But they don't want to get old, Chaz. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man.
I see it right now, since we're still somewhat in this hot weather. I see this at time of guys at the park, and I'm not knocking these men because they are working out. But these dudes are 60 years old with a wife beater on, and you can see their hair is just chest full of hair. Dude, cover yourself up.
Yeah, he wants you to think he's still young, as opposed to being who he is. And what about some of us, not just dressing younger, but some of us men, we cut our hair and we keep it bald. Now I'm gonna tell you why. Here's the secret. We keep our hair bald because if it grows back, it's going to be gray, see? And we don't want people to see us like that. So now, those who like the bald style, that's fine, because a lot of brothers just like the bald head. I ain't tripping with them, like you said. We're not talking to you. But those are afraid of the gray hair, see? Because if they let it grow back, it's going to be snow white or gray, and they don't want people to see it gray. So what they do is they keep it cut bald so they can appear to be younger.
See, I didn't know that. I thought guys like Steve Harvey or Michael Jordan, I thought that they just did that because that's what they wanted to. But I'm starting to see and come to the realization that I can see why people are doing that to try to cover the gray hair. Like we said, you cannot defeat Father Time. You're going to get old, and whatever happens, happens. You can't avoid it.
Yeah, and they just, it's like the media and our own psychological misunderstanding of aging. See, that shows that we know nothing about life. People don't want to get into their religion, like they say. People don't want to get into their spirituality, like they say. They flap their gums, Chaz, because and I know, Christians in the Bible, it teaches all of the people that believe in Jesus that getting old is a blessing. Those who are Muslims, it teaches them that Allah blesses those people when they get old. In spirituality, when we get old, the Necharu teaches us that is a divine promise from the creator and of the creatress. But yet we say these things, Chaz, but a lot of us, we don't want to go to doing these things. Now, let's talk about the positives, because we got a half an hour, and I want to slow the train down now and talk about the positives, because a lot of people know the negatives because they're afraid to die. They're afraid of getting older. But let's slow this train down and let's look at some positives of aging. And I want to show this first one right here. And it says this: aging is a normal process. How much simpler can we be? That's what's supposed to happen, man.
I think too, a lot of people who are still alive who develop a 401k, I think it's a beautiful thing to say, I've worked 65 or 70 years, and here's how much money I've racked up over that time. You can sit back and say, even though I know it's a slave mentality, but I'm just trying to point out the good things here that, hey, I worked 60 years. Here's my money to show for it. And this is a good thing if you have a 401k, you could pull that money out.
Yeah, and see, we got to stop having that warped mindset. So we're telling all of you who are watching this, start telling people when they say you're getting older, instead of trying to straighten up like you young, let them know you are getting older. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is why I get so passionate when we talk about this, because We have too many people who don't want to do what I'm going to show you now. We have too many people that don't want to do this, because this is a beautiful thing right here. See, we don't have too many people like this. Look at this beautiful sister. Now she's aging, man. Look at that gray. But she looks great, man. Yes. I don't care if she had wrinkles. I don't care if she had this or that, the other. I'm saying that you have to be proud that you're able to see these years. Right. We got to teach our children, quit teasing older people. Quit talking about older people. And these Negroes who tell jokes, they stand up on a stage, man, and they talk about our elders, and they talk about them like a dog, and we sit out in the audience, and instead of checking them, we laugh at that when they talk about their old grandmother, their old uncle, their old aunt, their old friend. And we pay money for them to belittle our ancestors and belittle our people, and we sit there and we like it, and we ought to be ashamed of ourselves, as opposed to looking like this queen fine sister who's just showing you that gray. Ain't trying to put dye in it. She letting you see it.
Right. And to those who may say, because I know well, she got on makeup. We're not saying that there's nothing wrong with the little makeup. But it's to the point to where when you remove that makeup, and we double look and we say, is that the same person? We can't even tell that, because they got so much of it on. And to this picture and this sister, it's a beautiful picture. And I would want to say that we need to start detaching from the world and say, you know what? Black does crack.
It does.
Whoever told me that, I'm not listening to that philosophy, because we're going to get old and black is eventually going to crack up.
That is so true, brother. And I want to bring this up here and talk about this here, because aging is a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. And so since we know that, let's look at why it's a good thing. Now, you've been saying this often. I've forgotten comments by queens and kings on here that's been saying with aging comes wisdom. Let me break that down right now. Now, this, from a theoretical standpoint, the older we get, the wiser we should get. Notice I keep using the word should.
Right.
The reality is, brother, the older many of us get, the more unwise we get, you see. Right. And so we can say this all we want to, because if we're not displaying wisdom when we get older, the question is, why have you been living then? Because you're supposed to show wisdom. You've been there, done that. See, and that's what I'm trying to get everyone to get tonight is we've got to stop being afraid of the inevitable. That's who we are. That's a good thing, man. And I can't get people to see that aging is a good thing, because we're so busy trying to hide who we really are.
I think the only reason, or a big part, how this could really hit home hypothetically, and you know where I'm going with this. If a guy like LeBron James or somebody got on national TV and said, you know what? Aging is good. I bet you at that moment, everybody then would probably say, okay, you know what? I think aging is good. But because we're two guys in the local part of San Antonio, nobody knows us. That's why they don't take this serious. But all it takes is Gabrielle Union, Beyonce to say that, and everybody be really looking at aging differently.
It shows how the mind has been corrupted. Now, one brother just quoted, and he commented, and I want to read it, but it's funny because he put some smiling faces. He says, "Ain't nothing like an old fool." He's saying nothing like an old fool. He's right, man. It's too many old fools. Because listen, Chaz, a lot of us aren't serious. When you get older, yes, you can laugh. Yes, you can have fun. But you should have a serious mindset. Many of us are too old. We gossip. We're always talking. We're never studying. We're never researching. We're never applying. We're never teaching. We're always messy. And that's what this world has come to. And this is why the next point is important. And I want you to talk about this because this is important. Getting old is beautiful because one gets to see and live out his or her golden years.
Can I sidestep real quick and go back to your previous question?
Go ahead.
You said as we get older, we become more messy. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with keeping up with information.
Right.
But we shouldn't, and when we get older, we shouldn't be armchair people to where we just sitting and just gossiping about any and everybody.
We don't have a life, Chaz. Many of us don't have a life, so we have to do that, you see? I mean, we're wanting them to do something that they can't do. And this is what I'm telling you. If a person is not wise, That's all they're going to do. And this is why our numbers drop when we get 15, 20, 25 people, 10 people, 15. It goes down to 3 or 4 because people know we hitting truth, man. And this is a good thing because we don't want to get old, but you should want to live to see your golden years. Like you mentioned, you retired from a job or you're just old where you can't work and you want to sit around, you want to enjoy yourself, you want to reflect on life. You want to look at the seriousness of life. You know that death is around the corner physically. And so you're happy. You're not sad and afraid. Right. Why are we afraid, man? We are afraid of aging, man. And that's what the problem is with most of us.
I think, like you just mentioned, a lot of us, whatever you believe in, spirituality, Buddha, Allah, Muslim, Christian, a lot of us, like you mentioned earlier, we do not want to leave this earth because we're terrified. The way we lived our life, we lived it reckless, wild, thuggish. We didn't care. We know something bad is going to happen to us when we leave this earth. And that's why we want to cling to it. And I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, okay. I am too. And see, the thing of it is we don't really know what's going to happen to us when we leave this earth. We know what people told us. But we bought into that, see? So now we're afraid of the boogeyman. We're afraid because we know, man. And this is why we act this way. And here's one that really makes me want to cry. And with all seriousness, this makes me want to cry, this next one. When we get old, brother, aging allows us to enjoy our grandchildren. Now, the reason why I said I want to cry is because we can't enjoy our grandchildren because we're just as messy as our grandchildren. And because we're cussing our grandchildren out. We're not teaching our grandchildren. We're calling them everything under the book. We're getting drunk in front of our grandchildren. We're getting high in front of our grandchildren. We don't even pick our grandchildren up to take them anywhere or to talk to them about life. See, back in the day, grandma and grandpa, they used to talk. Now, I didn't listen, but they would sit me down and say, boy, and they would tell me lessons about life, man.
Yes.
No one wants to do that now because grandma and grandpa want to smoke dope. Grandma and grandpa want to drink. See, this is what we don't. Chaz, I think you need to take this show here and talk because I'm getting excited, but I need to settle down because I don't want to have a big heart attack on a broadcast because I'm so into what I'm saying. But to be honest with you, we can't even allow our grandchildren, man.
Here's the thing, like you mentioned, grandparents, if you still have them alive, it's a beautiful thing to sit back and talk with them. But like you said, I think a lot of our grandparents who are still alive, they want to be homeboys and homegirls of the and that's the root of the problem. There's nothing wrong with talking to them. But when you want to start dressing like them, running with them in the streets, hanging with them, that's when you start to see a lot of bad stuff happen. But like you said, if you do have a grandparent, cherish them because one day they are going to leave this earth. Check on them. Don't just treat them like a piece of garbage. Treat them right in respect and show them that they have someone that cares for them.
Yeah, and I want to say something about this brother comment, and I know he doesn't mean any harm, but he's saying the things that we're saying, he's saying that's most of us. He says, but it's not all of us. We're not saying that everyone see, this is why doing a broadcast is important, because sometimes you have to clarify what you say because everyone they don't get it.
Right.
The statements that we're making, we're not saying, even though I might say all of us, I don't mean that literally, man.
Yeah.
I'm saying that this is something that we do as a people for the most part.
Right.
I don't mean everybody that to me is really, that's something that's psychotic now because now they're not understanding what we're saying, man.
That's why I had to clarify earlier when we talked about we talked about the hair dye and some of the sisters that do that and some of them get cancer. That's why I had to clarify. I wasn't talking just about everybody who puts on a wig. I'm talking about people who have like a hair disease or something like that. So I think it's important, brother, since we see this now, we have to clarify and be more upfront and let the people know we're not talking about the whole world. We're talking about a select few.
But see, this is what I'm saying, man. When it comes to dialogue, I know when you say all, you don't literally mean all. I know that. But you may say all of us are doing this. So why would I take you literal when I know that see, that's what adult people do. But so
Right.
let's get back to the conversation, because here's something else we need to talk about. Aging equals a living reality. In other words, man, what you see in that mirror and what I see in that mirror and what these people see in that mirror when they see the grayness, they see the eyesight going dim, they see the hairline receding. All of that is a part of a reality, man.
Yeah.
And that's who we are. And we
Yeah.
can't escape that. So why do we look up in the mirror every morning and hate what we see, yet we know that's what's supposed to happen? That's normal.
It's like we're fighting reality. We're fighting something that is going to happen. Like you said, for my brothers who do have a receding hairline, it's life.
That's
It's
okay.
life.
It's
There's
okay,
some-
right? It's
There's
okay.
some guys who get receding hairlines at the age of 25.
What?
The point is, this isn't a joking matter, but I'm just laughing at the fact that us as African Americans, we will fight you, even if you say, you know what, you look like you're getting just a little bit older. We want to fight. You can't beat this.
You know what? A lot of fights and even deaths have come because someone has said, man, you look old. You look old as my grandfather. And instead of that person saying, well, that's your perception or that's your perspection, you see. And so instead of saying, okay, that's cool, they don't want no one to call them old. And so they get angry and they want to do bodily harm to other people. And it's like, we have lost our minds. Now, when I say we, I got to clarify. Yeah. When I say we, I don't mean all of us, man.
Right.
But many of us have lost our minds when it comes to aging. We don't want this, man. We don't want to get old.
Let me ask you this real quick, and I'm just looking at my notes. Why do you think people thought of the concept of transhumanism? Because to me, I think this is a concept that is spot on what we're talking about. Why do you think these people created that concept?
I think it was created because they knew that we don't want to leave this earth. Okay. So I'm going to give you something you want. See, I'm not going to give you what you don't want. I'm going to give you what you want. So when I give you what you want, you're going to do everything that you can to stay around. I believe it was Brother Michael Jackson who had some kind of device that he'd sleep in that was supposed to keep him young.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but where is he now? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that's inevitable, man. Stop being afraid of getting older. See, our children should be taught this so when they get older, they can say when someone teases them, this is a normal reality. I'm supposed to get old. People see me sometimes and they say, man, you're getting older, as if that's something bad. And I go, of course. So why would I fight the inevitable? I am getting older. My better years are already gone. I won't live to see 40 or 50 more years. And if I do, that's fine. But if I don't, I know that my time is coming. So instead of being serious about life, I want to try to turn back that. You hear that one? If I can turn back the hands of time. You can't do it, Chaz.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
I think, too, let me say this real quick. For everybody that's listening, this broadcast, I would really want everybody to know when I say what you've been taught, what I'm saying, what you've been taught by the media, you know right from wrong. And I'm not going to get into every list of things, but my biggest thing for you guys, detach from the media and reteach yourself some of these issues, because I've retaught myself some of this stuff and it's helped me. So everybody that's listening, reprogram and detach from the system is all I can say.
That's a real good challenge. But I want to show you something else. Look at this. This is a brother, man, that looks like he's just having fun. I don't know him personally, but look at it. You know, look at his hair, Snow White. Now, he's not doing what Tyrone Davis said, trying to turn back the hands of time, because he know that he can't do it. See, that was a hit back in the day. If I could turn back the hands of time. See, they wanted to do that, man, because instead of looking at turning the hands up forward and being real, they don't want to get old, man. And this is why this broadcast is important. We come on every Wednesday at 6:00 Central Standard Time. There is no way in hell that people shouldn't be flocking to their phones to look at this, because we're always encouraging people. We're always talking about issues that are pressing. We're always trying to help our youth. We're always trying to help our seniors. We're always trying to help ourselves. But a lot of people don't want to hear it, man. Like you said, they don't care about that. But look at this brother, just cheesing. Hair is Snow White. He doesn't have dye. doesn't have dye in it, and he doesn't have he didn't cut it bald so people couldn't see that he was aging. We got to stop making aging something that it isn't. Aging is a wonderful thing, man. It's a reality.
It's a wonderful thing. It shows that you've lived this life, you've overcome some battles. Every day is a battle, and you're still here living to show, hey, I'm still around. And let me say this too. Suicide, I think suicide ties in this with this as well. Where
how so?
We see we're getting older. We feel our lives are getting flat. There's no excitement. There's nobody coming around. So we feel like because we don't have somebody patting us on the back and telling us what we want to hear, we end up dismissing ourselves and leaving this earth at an early age that we shouldn't. And to those of you who are fighting those suicidal thoughts, I encourage you not to do not do that. Don't do that.
Well, we're talking tonight about people that are afraid of aging. We're talking about us. That's the subject matter. And see, Chaz, here's what I'm saying. A lot of us that's watching this broadcast, we know the other reasons that people are afraid of getting older, but we won't comment. See, we won't comment because we know that even in our own lives, we don't want to face the inevitable. And the inevitable is we're getting older. That's a good thing. It's not bad. So I want to say that to say this. Here's one of our concluding remarks. And here it is right here. Stop talking about and seeing aging as negative, because it's a wonderful thing when one knows what aging truly is. And that's just it. Many of us don't know what it is, Shaz. That's why, you know, a lot of women want to look like Beyonce.
Yeah.
Because she's young.
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, and a lot of brothers want to look young, like these young guys. And it's like, the reason that we want to do that is not because of any other reason other than they're younger, man.
Yeah.
They're younger. They can do things that we can't do, especially people like myself. And instead of accepting the fact you have lived your life. Now, I'm not putting anyone in the grave, but I'm saying we have lived our lives. And so when we get older, we should be a beacon of light to these babies that's coming up, to these kids that's coming up, to these young people. But we want to mix in with them so people can think we're just like them, 80 years old, clubbing with your shirt open, with your hair. You know, that's crazy, man.
Well, that's one thing I will give you credit for. You do a good job with your school. You're teaching the kids. You're not out here acting like a stone fool. You try to really give back. And we need more people like that, because I'm telling you, man, a lot of older people, you'll be surprised at how ignorant, and I'm not putting people down, but you'd be surprised at that age how ignorant people are. So I give you credit for that.
A brother says he looked good. He said, I look good older naturally. And he's right. It's naturally. But see, Chaz, this is what we want. We want validation. If we put on some clothes, as I said last week, if we put on some clothes and somebody say, you look good, even though you're 80 and you got on hot pants and you're a woman, and someone say, oh, you look good, and you hear that a lot, you're going to keep wearing those hot pants because that comment made you feel good, see, because we want accolades instead of saying, no, I need to stop this. You know, young people dress a certain way, and that's fine because we all have been young and we do that. But when we get older, man, we've got to realize that we should accept that we're not in our teens anymore. And I don't know who's going to have to tell us this because they're not listening.
Another thing that you want to say, like about older women, for example, who wear hot pants, it's even to the point where if that woman put on those hot pants for attention and nobody commented, nobody said anything,
right?
That woman will go home depressed and sad because nobody said anything. It's like,
why is she depressed though, Chaz? Why is she depressed?
Because she was expecting some kind of comment or accolade and she didn't get that. And it ties into your point. She wanted validation. She didn't get it. So she's upset or depressed or angry that she didn't get that validation.
Now, I'm an old man. I'm getting older as well. But I hear young people say this word. And I think this is a word we haven't brought up, but we should. They thirsty. They thirsty. They thirsty, man. That's what I'm saying. They're looking for something, man. Listen, many of us can't accept the fact that what we see in the mirror is what we see. And I'm not saying that to be mean-spirited or just to put anybody down. What we see in the mirror is what we see. Now, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Let me clear this up real quick. Everybody that's been listening, let me just say this because I know you keep getting these kind of comments about people are not understanding what we're saying. You should exercise. You should drink water. If you can put on makeup for a job interview, do that. Just don't go the excessive route to where you're spending unnecessary money for things that you shouldn't. So it's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. Just don't go to the extreme is what we're telling you.
And we're also telling you that when you get older, that's not a bad thing. See, and if you, whatever you wear, or whatever I wear, whatever we put on, if we're trying to show the appearance of a younger person, then that's wrong, because we as a people and as a society, we have too many issues right now as a people, man. We got all kind of things going on within our communities, and we don't have time to be trying to act like we're young when we're not. And it's not anything wrong when a person says, I'm 50, I'm 40, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 75, I'm 80. We should respect them, because in other cultures, when you get older, you get respected. You don't get ridiculed. You don't have comedians on stage talking about older people. And because when people get older, sometimes we get senile, we get Alzheimer's. You know, a lot of things happen to us. We lose our memory, we lose focus, and people make fun of us. And that's what gets me up in the air, because I'm talking about us. Many of us, instead of saying, I will not watch this man continue to belittle and berate my elders, we sit there and laugh, man.
Yes.
We pay for that kind of stuff. And this show, we're sick. Many of us are a sick society, because you have a mama, you have grandmama, you have a great grandmama. I have a mama, I have a daddy, I had a great grandmother. And so I wouldn't want no one to do my grandparents like that, to pay them money to stand on the stage and talk about my grandmother because she's old and bent over and walking with a cane, and I'm sitting there laughing, holding my stomach. Chaz, I done got hot, man.
And I agree. It's not anything funny.
It's not.
To people who have ailments, you know, back problems, shoulder issues when you get older. And for the people who sit there and pay for that, it's just like,
there's a chump. Yeah, there's a chump, and you know him. I forget his name, but he's a comedian, and he makes fun of old people. That's his shtick, as they say. He makes fun of old people, and we love him, man. And this is why when people like me or you and others say that's not funny, then they get mad at us, man.
Instead of him.
Exactly. Right. This is crazy. But this shows you that we've gone ballistic, man. Our minds are gone. And so that's why we have these kind of broadcasts. We have 8 minutes. I'll let you say a few more words, Chaz, and we'll get out of here. But I want to say this real quick. Next Saturday, or this coming up Saturday, which will be September the 2nd, at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, please go to our YouTube channel, The Ja and Kev Show. We're going to be talking about, as a people, we are defenseless. Why are people doing what they do to us in every facet of life? So you want to see that. And then the next month, the first Saturday of October, we're going to be remote at 637 South WW White Road at a place called Global Fitness. Chaz, I think you said you're going to make a guest appearance there?
No, I think I won't show up, but I will be visibly watching you guys. I'll probably be making comments, but I would love to support in any way.
We want people to come. Yeah, we want people to come out, because we're going to interview people. We're going to let them be interviewed. We're going to, it's a live call in. We're going to be interviewing people. They're going to be working out. They're going to do a demonstration of fitness. So we you know, we're in the community. We're doing things. This is why we say we want you to support us. We want you to support us at Adults Only. Cash App us. Please, Cash App Big Brother Jahi. And so the little screen that you see now, this thing, it costs us monthly, because we wanted to upgrade from just being on the phone. So we pay for this monthly where we can have, you know, remote Chaz coming in, and we can show images and all that. So that's what we do with the proceeds that you send, or the funding that you help us with. So I just want to say, Chaz, that, I mean, it's always encouraging to have you on, because you're always saying something profound, you know, something very witty, or something that's going to make people think. And I say you got to continue to stay out there and keep talking about those things that's important, because a lot of us then gotten old. My mom used to say this about some of her friends, but she would say they got old and cold. That basically meant that they got old and they didn't want to do anything.
Oh, and let me say this real quick. As we get older, don't let life, and this is for everybody, white, black, Japs, Chinese, as we get older, don't let life circumstances make us bitter. That's one thing we need to talk. When we get older, I see just people in Walmart, CVS, you look at an old person, they have so much hatred in their eyes.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah. You know what, Chaz? I think maybe we should come back next week and do something on that, because you got to play both sides of the coin. It's a blessing to be old and all of that, but also there's some of us, when we get old, we're as mean as a rattlesnake.
yes.
And so I think we need to talk about, why do people get so bitter? And I have a lot of reasons. And this is why I want people to watch this broadcast, so that they can chime in with the comments, because we have people that comments. A lot of them won't comment though, Chaz. They won't comment, but they know that we're talking about them, because we're talking about ourselves.
Right.
It's all in this.
That's what I'm saying. This is for, even though I'm not an 80-year-old man, this is for myself is included as I get older, to remember this information. That way, this will help save us a lot of stress, a lot of worry, and probably save us a lot of cash if we listen to some of these steps.
So the conclusion is, as we just said, stop talking about and seeing aging as negative, because it's not negative. I don't care which movie star, which comedian, I don't care which politician, which minister, which imam, which spiritual guru. I don't care who told you that aging is negative. It's not negative, y'all. We got to put that in our mind. And then also, because aging is a wonderful thing when one knows what aging truly is. Because as you mentioned earlier, what aging truly is a person who have been able to see years that no one else has seen. And in those years, they've taken their experience, and they should be able to utilize that experience so that people can say, that's a wise old man. That's a wise old woman, as opposed to that's an old man that's trying to be young. Or that's an old woman who's still popping her fingers and snapping, acting like.
Big brother, I know we run out of time. Can I please squeeze this in here? Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
Why do you see on some social media accounts people who are 60 or 70, or even in their 50s, they're creating TikTok challenges, Facebook challenges to compete with? They're basically copying off of these young kids doing challenges. Why are they doing this? Well,
when you look at social media, because that's what's going on, it's not just the kids on social media. I get on it myself, but I try to make sure I look at certain things that's conducive for my learning and my education. I do watch some silly things every now and then, but my whole life is not looking at silly stuff. A lot of us adults are now so engaged in social media that it has taken our mind, man. When we go to bed, we got it. When we wake up, we got it. When we midday, we got it. All day, we got it. And so this has really bothered us, and we don't see how that has played into the mindset. And this is why a lot of us are afraid to get old, because we bought into what you just mentioned. And that's this social media craze. We don't know how to discern. That's not good. And so all day, all night, this is what we do, man. And it's not just kids, it's adults too. So now we're afraid to get old. So since I'm getting older and I'm afraid, I'm gonna have to look at myself. I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this. And then a brother said, a lot of us we hide behind this positivity. Yeah, we hide behind it. Yeah, because we don't get it, man. It's positive, man. Right. So let's look at next week. Like you can stay. I'll let you stay at. Once I'm not gonna play any music or anything today. I'm just gonna get out of here at the hour's time. We got about 2 minutes, but I think we should look at this next week. And those who are watching this, get your comments together. Why, when people get older, we get bitter? That's a good subject. There's a lot of reasons why. And I know some of it has to do with their health and all that, but you can't stop the inevitable, man.
Yes.
You're going to see.
There are a couple older people that you may see at grocery stores or what have you, and they're just casual guys or women. But like I told you earlier, a lot of the older people, they're grumpy, they're bitter. And then sometimes when you ask them a basic question, they're snappy.
Well, that's loneliness too. They're lonely. See, they're very low. And see, this is why we're going to bring in some of the religions too, because I'm not knocking the religion, because if the religion or the spirituality or the whatever one is in, if it was working, then wouldn't that soothe us?
Right.
Wouldn't it sedate us? We go to these places every week, or we look at these places on Zoom and all this. We go to all these meetings. When are those things going to resonate in our lives, man? That's what I'm going to be talking about, because I don't think it's true. I think we go for a front, and then when we come out of that building, the real us show up, because we can't go to that place cussing and acting stupid. I can't hear you, Chaz. You got some technical difficulties.
Oh man.
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. I've seen people go to churches before they go in. Hold on real quick. Before they go into the church services, they're listening to gospel music or what have you. But as soon as they get in that car, they got that blunt in, they got that little Weezy F baby in, and they're blaring it as they're riding off. And a lot of people are like, "What? I thought they were just listening to gospel music." It's ridiculous.
And you got to stop that, Chad, because you saved that story for next week. Because I got a story to tell you about a person that was supposed been in a religion, and I'm gonna share a story with you. And it's funny, but it goes on to say that, like we said, when you get older, when you're younger, you shouldn't do it, but at least we can say you're still maturing, you're learning. Right. But when you get older, man, it shouldn't be that way. You should be teaching us, not that you're going to be perfect, but it's the youth that it's the youth that should be doing that. But now it's those who are older. So tonight we played one side of the album, which is basically, this is a beautiful thing to get older. Next week, we're going to turn the album over and see we have responsibilities as elders. You know, we can't be that way. And just because life, and I don't want to tell it all tonight, but I know a lot of it has to do with life. We didn't deal with life that well, man. And now we're dealing with the consequences of what we didn't know what to do. So we're going to get out of here, Chaz. I'm just going to end the broadcast. I'm not going to do music. So I want to say, you can say your final words, and then I'll sign off after that. I can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My final words, I thank everybody who's tuned in today. Take this information in, remember it, rewatch it if you can, and remember to do the best you can in life, and don't let a stupid number on your health determine how you treat people. So everybody, I thank you for tuning in.
And I say to everybody, Shem Imhotep, which means go in peace. And I want to see you back next week. Imhotep, tell people about this adults only. And as you can see, we talk about adult only conversation. We appreciate you watching this broadcast, and we hope to see you all next week when we come back with a brand new show. So on behalf of Chaz, I am your big brother Jahi, and we're going to sign out for now. So I'm just going to close this thing out. So the next thing you're going to see is nothing but black space. We're out of here. Good night.
Take care.